We are officially less than a week away from Fantasy Life being in our hands. But despite the fact that this is one of the biggest releases of the year, not only has some of the information been really hard to find, but they've also kept some of the most important information tucked away. So I've gone through every single available part of information, including the tiny bits at the bottom, to not only tell you everything you need to know, but to also make sure that you've done everything you need to be able to play it and have the best time possible on day one. And this video won't have any story spoilers in it. All I'm going to be showing is the story from the trailers and then some extra footage that they shared from some of the different jobs. First up, let's start with probably the biggest question everyone's had when it comes to Fantasy Life, and that is, how long is the game actually gonna be? And this is a pretty important question, considering Fantasy Life is part life sim, but also part RPG, meaning that it has an entire storyline that goes alongside everything that you do, which means that there will eventually be an endpoint. And thankfully, we've finally got an answer to this question, as a Japanese publication called Famitsu have got their hands on the game already and have said that it will take between 30 and 40 hours for you to beat the story. They've also said that it will be up to 100 hours if you're a completionist to get everything done. And a huge thank you to Nintendo Life for publishing this article that let me know about this. Now, this information from Famitsu also came alongside their review, which is looking to be incredibly positive, which is making me a lot more excited about its release. One thing to just bear in mind though is that I didn't see anywhere which platform this specific review was for, as I do think it will make a big difference whether you buy this game on PC versus something like the Nintendo Switch. Speaking of the release date, let's go through everything you need to know. Fantasy Life releases on PC, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation and Xbox on May 21st. But we recently just got confirmation that Fantasy Life will be coming to the Nintendo Switch too. And they've said it's going to have a higher resolution and frame rate when compared to the Nintendo Switch version. Now, much like everything with the Nintendo Switch 2, this will unfortunately also be more expensive. But they have said that you'll be able to upgrade your Switch version to the Switch 2 version when it does release. Now, there are a few things that you need to bear in mind if you are thinking about buying the Nintendo Switch 2 version. Firstly, we have no idea which is going to be the more cost-effective way of buying the game, whether buying the Switch 2 version by itself is going to be cheaper than buying the Switch version and the upgrade cost. That's something we're just going to have to wait and find out on the day. But one thing we do know is the fact that there will be no digital deluxe version on the Switch 2. So the only way you'll be able to get that is to buy the digital deluxe version on the Switch and then upgrade that to the Switch 2 version, which might wind up being pretty expensive. And as of this moment, they also don't have any Switch 2 trailers whatsoever, so we have no idea what the game's going to perform like or look like. But fingers crossed, it will be a little closer to how the PS5 version looks and a little less like the Switch version. Now, if you're trying to figure out which platform you want to buy the game on, there are a few things you might want to bear in mind. Firstly, the game itself is both cross-play and cross-progression, meaning that not only can you play with your friends no matter which of the devices they play on, but it also means you can continue your own save on whatever console you own, so long as you buy the game on every single one of them. Now, in order for the cross save to actually work, they have said that you'll need to link or create an Epic Games account. So if you know it's something that you want to do, you can go ahead and make an account ahead of time so you're ready for day one. The only exception to this would be the Switch and the Switch 2, as you won't actually need to buy two versions of the game to enjoy it on each of your consoles. And they've even said that the Switch 2 version of Fantasy Life will also work on the Switch. It will just play with the worst Switch graphics on that console. Now, things get a little bit more complicated and a little bit more difficult with the deluxe version. So if you didn't already know, there are actually two versions of the game that you can buy. The regular version for $49.99 or the digital deluxe for £10 extra. So that would be $59.99 Great British pounds. Now, if you own the Digital Deluxe on PC, Xbox, or PlayStation, this will give you early access of the game, allowing you to play on the 18th from 3 PM GMT. So effectively 3 days earlier than the standard version of the game. One thing to bear in mind though, if you do buy the Digital Deluxe version on the Switch, the game will not release early. You will, however, still get all of the other Deluxe Edition perks, which include a mount, 4 weapons, and 3 outfits. It also says on the website that you may not be able to get all of these items at the very beginning of the game, so you may have to play a little bit to unlock the items that you've purchased. Now, one other really important thing that I don't think they made obvious enough is that the Deluxe Edition items will only be available on the console that has the Deluxe Edition. So for example, if you own the Deluxe Edition on the Switch for when you're on the go and out of the house, but only have the standard edition of the game on PlayStation 5, you will not be able to access any of the mounts or the items that you purchased in the Deluxe Edition on the PlayStation. You'll only be able to use them on the Switch version of the game. Or you can upgrade the PlayStation version to the Deluxe Edition as well, just to get access to your items again. Which I gotta admit, I'm not a huge fan of that, as it's already quite expensive to own the game on multiple platforms, and this just makes it even worse. One thing to also bear in mind is upgrading to the Digital Deluxe Edition after buying the normal version of the game works out to be about $4 more expensive than just buying the Deluxe Edition straight away. So that is something to bear in mind when you're trying to figure out what version is best for you. Now, on top of the Deluxe Edition version, there's also some pre-order bonuses. Now, to get these, you will have to have pre-ordered the game before 2 AM GMT on March 18th. And this will include a bunch of potions, bombs, but also an item that will increase the XP earned for your character. Now, interestingly, the pre-order bonuses don't seem to come with the same disclaimer as the Deluxe Edition items. So as far as I can tell, it doesn't look as though these will be locked to a certain platform. This seems a little bit odd to me, considering that both of them involve having items, but we're going to have to wait until launch day just to make sure this is the case. Now, I'm not the biggest advocate for pre-ordering games whatsoever, especially for the Nintendo Switch with how games have been at the moment. So one thing that might help your decision is this disclaimer, and that's that pre-order bonuses may become available for sale or distribution at a later date. So if you are really worried about missing out on some of these items, this might not be the only way to get them. But that also does make me wonder if they're maybe thinking about introducing microtransactions. I think that's one of those things that only time will tell if it's something they actually go for. DLC, on the other hand, is something I would most definitely look forward to seeing, especially if it added more story or something along those lines to keep this game going even longer, especially around the Switch 2 release date. Next up, let's talk about the gameplay and what to expect, especially the multiplayer. They didn't really mention it all that much in the trailers, but there are a couple of different ways to enjoy playing multiplayer. Firstly, you can do couch co-op with 2 controllers and just 1 copy of the game. Do bear in mind though, by the looks of it, the second player won't spawn in as a normal player. They'll still be able to fight and gather materials, but chances are they'll be limited in a lot of other ways. I think it will be more or less the same way Animal Crossing did having an extra player. They won't be able to do most of the things that the normal player can, but they can be around and be there for everything that happens. Now, if you have friends who also own copies of the game, you'll be able to play up to 4-person co-op. And one thing I didn't realize until now is if you have friends who all own the Nintendo Switch version of the game, then you can actually play local co-op if you're all together. And as far as I'm aware, if you're playing local co-op, you probably don't need an online membership, so that makes things even better. If, however, you want to play cross-platform or with friends who are not physically with you, then you're going to need an online membership if you play on the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, or Xbox. Now, it's not clear whether you can do the main storyline quest together whatsoever, but the website does say that you can hang out together on each other's islands or go adventuring. And we know you'll definitely be able to do things like taking on the dungeons together to get rare materials and items, as that's actually been shown in the footage so far. Now, if you do plan to play online with friends, if you're on Xbox, PlayStation, or Nintendo Switch, you will need to pay for the online membership for whatever console that you're on. However, if you play on PC, you won't need to do that. So this might also help you decide which console to buy this on. Now, one thing I find interesting is the fact that you don't need an Epic Games account to play Crossplay. It specifically says you only need it for cross saves. So this probably means that the game is going to have its very own friend system and friend codes to make it easier to play together with people you know. Personally, this is a game I am incredibly excited for, especially seeing all the extra gameplay footage that we've seen over the last month or so on the channel. And I love this blend between it having a full-blown RPG-like story and RPG progression, but also all of the life sim elements, and even the mini-games that go into each of the different jobs that you can take on and enjoy. And the fact that we finally got confirmation on how long the story is going to be has only made my excitement grow. There is just one small thing that's making me a little bit uncertain, and that is how the game is going to be for Nintendo Switch players. We are just under 1 week away from the launch of the game, and still all we really have for true Nintendo Switch footage is this trailer. This trailer where you can see frames dropping and things looking a little bit rough around the edges. And one of the big reasons why I am not an advocate for pre-ordering, especially on the Nintendo Switch, is the fact that the West is getting no physical release, meaning that you can only buy this game from the eShop, an eShop which has historically made it very difficult to get refunds on. So in other words, just be a little bit more cautious if you are planning on buying this on the Nintendo Switch. I can't wait to finally get my hands on the game. I'll be streaming it both on the 18th when it comes out on PC, and then again on the 21st when it comes out on the Switch, so we can compare the versions and decide if the game is worth the money. And if you'd like to see my dad talk all about his favorite Nintendo Switch games, click this video here.